moto zone. But
it's so nice to have the sun back with us. What a lovely day it is. My name's Ardil and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today's video, we're giving you guys a little bit more of an update about a Mercedes E53 that we've got an absolutely gorgeous sound system going into it. But today's video, we're really focusing on the actual install progress that we've made on the car, but also giving you guys a little bit more detail about some of the components that are going into the car, plus talking a little bit more fabrication. So let's get on with it. So let's jump right into the finer details. Obviously, what we've got here is the tweeter and mid-range inside this door. These components have actually been upgraded, but there's quite a few steps to get to that point. Basically, as the car came into us, what happens is this door card that you see here actually gets completely removed. Then that gets acoustically soundproof. Basically, the skin's 3mm layer being applied to the back of that card, building a better structure for that card to basically deal with the increase in volume and increase in basically movement of air, of sound waves that are now inside this card. So that's all soundproof. Then it's time to actually add those speakers into the vehicle. We've got custom adapters that allow for the Audison Voce 3-inch mid-range that go into a stock location here. And then we've got the Audison Voce tweeter that again sits into a stock location. Both out of the Audison Voce range, which is basically the mid-level tier inside the Audison speaker range, still absolutely incredible and a massive increase over obviously the quality and performance of those stock systems that's completely removed, but still all done in a reversible way. So this customer can actually remove this whole system later on when it comes back into us, when he decides to sell the vehicle, and we can put the old stuff back in, and the client actually retains all of the investment in terms of those components. Then the door card basically goes back together after all of the acoustic deadening has been taken place, and those new components are really nicely and professionally secured into the door. Then down behind me in the kick coils of each side, what we've actually added in is those Audison Prima sets. An Audison Prima APA, again, custom adapters, fully reversible, that gives a massive increase in mid-bass performance as well as bass output. But we're not dealing too much for them with the bass side of things, because we've got a massive 12-inch sub that car's been building and adding into the side panel of the boot of this Mercedes E53. So showing you actually the components that have come out of the car is very important, because when you're buying a car, this is the stuff that you never get to see, but we showcase everything to you. So this is actually the tweeter from the Mercedes E53. So a lot of it is the actual module that sits behind there, allowing it to spin, but the tweeter is basically here. Plastic framework, very cheap design, as you would have seen on pretty much all manufacturer systems that we've done videos on, like Sound Off, where we compare the two side by side. But overall, that actually has quite a lot of weight to it, but that is mostly, you can even feel, if you felt it in your hand, a lot of the weight is done actually balanced on this side rather than the actual component itself. But that's the tweeter. Moving down to those lower, slightly lower frequencies, those mid-range bracket, which again, this is dealt with the 3-inch. This is basically paper cone design, incredibly lightweight. But what this also has is a very cheap magnet, which is a ferrite magnet. Over what we've got is the Audison Voce range, which actually has a neodymium magnet, which is a far stronger, better magnet. But this is a plastic framework, cheap design, very cheap paper cone. And this is where obviously changing over components, adding new amplification makes a massive difference sonically, because what sound waves basically do is moving air around in a vehicle. A paper cone design, a poor structure and foundation for sound basically limits the amount of movement that that's going to be able to have, but also over time that's going to perish away. That is not going to last very long at all. So it's a big reason and kind of a fundamental thing that's wrong with factory systems that we obviously change and adapt. But the new components that have gone in that Audison Voce range are going into a stock location here, guys. So they're going into exactly where these used to sit. Then moving down into the footwell. So what basically Mercedes are calling a sub is one of these. This is basically an 8-inch woofer that sits right underneath the pedals. We've upgraded these to an 8-inch Audison Prima set. Again, fully reversible, gone into stock location in a similar kind of foundation point as this. So it goes into factory lug points. So it's completely reversible, but providing a lot more depth of sound to that front end. But this is what Mercedes call a sub. This is what we call a sub, the Hertz Melee Pro 12-inch sub, and this is actually going into a custom enclosure on the left-hand side of the boot. It is absolutely enormous, a massive bit of kit, but it's not taking up too much room at all. You might be thinking, well, something this sort of size must be literally filling the entire boot. No, not at all. We're actually doing a custom build at the moment on the car, and it literally takes up hardly any room whatsoever. You've still got all the access for boot room, but you've got a massive enclosure being built, and we'll actually focus a little bit on that later on. So let's show you a little bit of B-roll of the team doing what they do.
Hang on, what is it? It's a Mercedes, is it? Mercedes E? Hi guys, I'm Carl, one of the engineers here at Cambridge Car Audio, and I'm working on the E53 Mercedes we have. And today, I'm making a sub box for that hole right there. So with this sub box, it's a 12-inch sub, so it's a little bit larger than what we normally use. Now, the factory amplifier and a couple of ECUs were located just by here. So we've had to relocate them. So we're going to move the ECUs up to here, which will be back on their own board. And we've moved the factory amplifier over to the center of the boot there, so it's easy access for our processor. That's given us enough space here then to come back far enough to be able to fit the 12-inch sub in and not have it protrude too far into the boot itself. Now, with the build of this one, we've had to pick up on a few of the factory points here, here, and here for securing the box down, but we've also had to make sure we're not going anywhere near this part of the mechanism. So as this drops a little bit, you'll see that it drops down and inside the boot. So all of this area is a complete no-go. So what we've done is built it all out of a wooden framework, which hits in, bolts down to the two locations at the bottom, bolts into one of the locations at the top. We've got clear access there for the hinge mechanism to completely miss the sub box. So now we're finished with making the foundations of the box. The next part is to make a new trim panel to cover over the sub box, but then blend back into where the factory boot liner would have been, covering all of this area. So what I've done for that is we have taken a basic fiberglass mould of the original liner. So behind here is the original liner. And what we'll end up doing is we'll probably end up using just the top part of this here, and this part here will be missing to then put this back inside of the boot, and that will then blend into the original location, so it'll look like the factory boot liner once it's finished and trimmed in a carpet to match. So once we've finished making the side panel, we're going to trim the whole thing in a black carpet that's going to look as like the factory trim, and it will look as one big seamless item that will just follow around from the back of the boot and you can go straight down behind the back of the seats, and it will all look like the factory trim that we took out.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you enjoyed some of the new features that we've been adding on to some of our recent videos, make sure you comment below. Let us know whether it's positive or negative feedback. We appreciate it all, and it helps us actually improve our videos for you guys at home. So thank you once again for watching. Smash that subscribe button, like and share the video with friends and family. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
And it will look as factory as it can get. No, that's shit.
We're giving away a brand new PlayStation 5 and a controller, as well as an Audison Premium amplifier, so you guys at home can upgrade the system in your vehicle as soon as we hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So help us out, smash that subscribe button, and you can be in the chance we're winning all this.